Before I went to college, I lived in a town called Canton. Canton's a rural town in northwestern Connecticut, but it's pretty wealthy. The population is made up mostly by lawyers, insurance executives, and tech people. And it's really, really white. So just a little background about me. One thing about Canton was it had a great public school system. And because of this, we got to do some things that other schools didn't get to do. So in May of my junior year, there was a field trip for this club called Substance Free Students. Substance Free Students was a club that met once a week before school. The idea was pretty simple. The members were sober. They didn't do drugs. They didn't drink alcohol. Now, I distinctly remember going to a meeting or two for fun because I had friends in the club. But at that time, I certainly wasn't holding up any end of that kind of bargain. The club, at the end of the school year, arranged a full-day field trip to Six Flags Amusement Park. So it was bus chartered, expenses paid, arrive at school that morning, skip all of your classes, and just go to Six Flags. I don't really know how this was a thing, but who am I to question it? Now, what made this trip even more unbelievable is you didn't even have to be a member of the club to go on it. As I recall, the club had about 10 members, and every one of the members was allowed to invite one friend to come with them on this trip. A little ridiculous. I don't exactly remember how it worked, but I got a seat on the bus. And also on the trip were 3 other friends of mine. Now, these dudes weren't in the SFS club either, but they were popular guys, so it was not at all surprising to see them there. So, we all got on the bus that day to skip all of our classes and go to Six Flags. We're on the back of the bus, and my buddy pulls out a paper sandwich bag. Then he shows us the contents, which happen to be a certain kind of fungus known to grow on and around cow dung. And then maybe you can guess what happened next. I had never eaten this specific kind of fungus before, so I wasn't entirely certain about what I should expect. But by the time the bus got to the amusement park, we were all feeling pretty good. And the effect was certainly interesting. The park was very augmented from my memory. When we walked in, the park was extremely augmented. And so we're just wandering around. We end up going to a place where there aren't really any other people. We all sit down on a bench, and my buddy takes out some of this combustible, fragrant plant that he has. Now, I had definitely combusted this plant before, but I had never done it in combination with this kind of fungus. And I was thinking, well, maybe the effects will just kind of be added to each other. I was actually kind of mistaken. The effects aren't really added so much as they are multiplied together to create an entirely new hybrid effect. And all of a sudden, I was pretty much blasted off into an entirely alternate reality. I had never experienced anything like this before. It was really like I was just thrown into the carnival of strange mirrors. Just really mind-blowing. But by the end of the day, the effects had mostly worn off, and was able to make it back on the bus without any issues, and I went home. Really just a great ending for the day. So what's the takeaway here? I guess it's just, if there's a field trip to an amusement park, get on that bus.